So now we're going to take a very small number written in standard form like this decimal here, and we're going to convert that to scientific notation. And again, all this stuff just involves moving the decimal left and right, just depending what you have. So since we have a very small number, we're going to be moving the decimal place to the right instead of to the left like we did before. So first, go ahead and find your decimal, which is going to be there. And then we're going to move it to the right until we pass our first non-zero number. So here, that's a 0, that's a 0, that's a 0. That is not a 0. So once we pass that 8, in other words, that decimal is now over here, then we'll stop moving it to the right. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll put my decimal place right there. And remember, I can put zeros out here to the right of that decimal or that 8 if I want. It's not going to change the value or anything. And then we count. I moved this decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 times to the right. So 0.0008 in scientific notation is going to be written as 8.0 times 10 to the minus 4th. So again, when we have very small numbers like we did here, right, very small decimal number, our exponent is going to be negative. And when we had very large numbers like we did in the previous video, our exponents are going to be positive. All right, some examples. So again, we're moving the decimal place to the right until we pass the first non-zero number, and then just write it in scientific notation. So here's my decimal for the first one. I'm going to move it to the right until I pass this 2. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Decimal goes here. I can put zeros out here if I want. So I moved it 1, 2, 3, 4 times, just like the previous example. So I'll have 2.0 times 10 to the negative 4th. All right, 0.09. So again, here's my decimal. I'll move it to the right until I pass the 9. So 1, 2. Decimal goes here. I can put some zeros out here if I want. And scientific notation will be 9.0 times 10 to the, we moved it 2 places to the right, so it'll be to the negative 2nd power. All right, 0.0074. So again, we're moving this decimal here to the right until we pass the first non-zero number, just the first one. So once we pass that 7, we don't have to move it anymore. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, like there. Put the decimal in between the 7 and 4. I moved it 3 places, so I will have 7.4, and I could write it as 7.400 or 7.40. It doesn't matter. I'll just keep it as 7.4 though. That's fine. 7.4 times 10 to the, I moved it to the decimal 3 places to the right, so we're going to be to the negative 3rd power. Okay, over here, 0.00000101. So again, we're going to move the decimal to the right until we pass the first non-zero number. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll put it right there. So we'll have, so that was 6. So I got 1.01 times 10 to the negative 6th. And last one here is 0.5093. So just take your decimal, move it until you pass the first non-zero number. Luckily, it's just move it 1 place to the right. So I'm going to have 5.093 times 10 to the negative 1st. And you can take all these examples, start with your answers here, and work backwards to see if you get the original number that you started off with.